let's be honest. Most of what we preach on Wednesday is forgotten by Friday, and that is incredibly discouraging for most of us. I think parents genuinely want to help, students genuinely want to remember, but somehow life always seems to drown it out. And we all know that follow-up texts and posts online and parent emails would absolutely change a lot of that. But who has the time? Well, that's exactly why SSM exists. One of the tools that we offer are curriculum packages that give you all of that, but you're able to make it customizable to you. And you may not realize everything that we do have. And so for this podcast, we're going to take a look at everything that we offer within our curriculum packages. And behind the wall, we're going to take a look at how to actually use our linear session prep model within every session. So your leaders never have leader fatigue by preaching 18 different types of curriculum, but they always have a fresh series that's relevant to students. This is Shaping Student Ministry.
I believe that we stand on the verge of a historic moment.
You ask them what it is about rock and roll music that they like, and the first thing they'll say is the beat, the beat, the beat.
I found pardon for my past, power for the present, bright prospect for the future.
If you talk to the average teenager of today, I know what it does to you.
That could have an unparalleled and unprecedented impact.
I've got a story to tell. Have you?
Well, welcome back to the Shaping Student Ministry podcast. I'm joined today by the main host, who you've already talked to. Actually, I'm joining you.
What chip is on your shoulders? You're not the man. We're co-hosting this thing. Don't put that burden on me, Ricky Bobby.
Don't put that bad juju on me. Anyway, we're here.
Oh man, listen.
I don't know what to do with my hands right now.
We thought it'd be about time to do the one about what SSM curriculum really offers and show you exactly what you're looking at. Because, I had somebody call me the other day and his whole thing was positive. He said, listen, we have started using your curriculum. I'm doing Peculiar People, which is all on the apostles. I'm doing all of this stuff, and it's absolutely shifting. He said the gospel-centered approach that you have, the fact that you guys are so text-heavy, he said, and then it just looks good and it connects to my people. And that's kind of our heart. We want to be faithful, clear, and creative in what we teach, because then the other side of that discussion with a few guys, every week I get these calls and these guys go, well, I can get 10 series on Find Your Purpose Today from 8 different websites. He goes, and these kids don't need another purpose, topically driven thing. They need God's word. And that's our heart to do that. But then on the other side of it, there are so many tools that if you will use it well and use the tools that we have, you will absolutely, it will change how you do ministry. And it takes you less time to use them than it does more.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, one of the things that we've run into is, there's a lot of good options out there for curriculum. There really are. But there's not a lot of good options out there written by practitioners.
That's right.
And that's one of the things that I think we hear most from people is the stuff that we're writing and the stuff that we're helping other guys develop that are doing ministry. It's all written by practitioners. And if there's if there's an issue with the curriculum, or if there's not an issue, but if there's a thought that you have, I know Ann Brock lives in Tampa, and she started working through our How We Understand series, and she reached out to me and she said, hey, my context is really different. My context is that we've got a group of about 30 kids that come to my house on Sunday nights, and this is something that maybe you ought to think about. I'm like, yeah. And so what I do, you hear a criticism and you go, is it valid? Is it helpful? Is it something that we can use to get better? And so our curriculum's being evolved, not only written by practitioners, but critiqued. Perfected by practitioners. I think that is
it's all P's. We're very pastoral.
Very Baptist in that way.
It's perfectly perfected by pastors and practitioners across the, I don't know, I got nothing.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But all that to say, I think that one of the things that makes us really unique is it's written by people who are doing ministry, it's used by people who are doing ministry, and it's shaped by both sides of that spectrum. It's not just shaped by the writer, it's also being shaped by the user.
I know this from experience too, and I'm not saying this is true. I'm not trying to pick on anybody. That's why we don't use names. But I don't think there's anything ungodly, and I hear a lot of guys, it's funny. There's 4 or 5 major groups and major companies doing it and ministries doing it, and then but the conversation will be you're supposed to say, like I had one guy tell me, why aren't you recommending people to other curriculum? I said, because I don't know other curriculum, and I believe in what I do. And I think what I do, I believe what we do is the best. And I've managed the biggest curriculum in the world. Between John and I, there's about 40 years of ministry experience. We have a network of over 100 churches all over the country. We have 30 guys and girls in cohorts that are making it. So everything that we're doing is, I remember from experience, a lot of the guys that are writing this, they might volunteer by showing up occasionally at student ministries, but most of them are either old and haven't been doing it in a long time. They don't know what else to do other than student ministry. They're in an office building and they're writing what seemed to work. But our heart is the heart that a guy actually called me that 20 years ago has been the heart of some of the biggest people you know when they started out. And that was, what we want to offer feedback and want to do that. And so our goal is to get better. And we believe that we're only better together. And that's kind of the heart. We don't just want, we've said this, we don't just want customers. We want partners in everything that we do. And so in the midst of this, we're writing curriculum with people. And then we're also, this is the other thing that I get all the time. Well, I've got about 4 subscriptions. I don't know if I need another one. Well, when's the last time you used one of those 4 subscriptions? I don't know. I don't remember. And the problem is there's so much stuff. And our goal is to keep things flashy and engaging on the student ministry side. So it's like, oh, I get this, and to keep it deep. And we're not worried about being flashy on the back end because we want to give you what you need and how you need it. And so we kind of wanted to break down what we do, if that sounds good to you, John. Break down what we do. And essentially, this isn't even talking about, we have a whole library of digital resources for leaders and student pastors and what they do, and different like curriculum for parents and some things like that. We've got a whole library of Game Zoo games that are all no prep screen games that you can add in. We have trivia nights that you can do an entire night on or more. I mean, they could last 2 hours, 2-3 hours if you wanted to. And so, but they're made for an hour-long environment. But then we have this incredible, whether it's 1 year curriculum that we're doing or it's short-term studies, and we have years of them, like years of short-term studies, and all of them come with the same components. And we just kind of want to share you what a week using our stuff looks like when you do it. And I think you're really going to like it. So John, I'm going to share my screen if you're good with that.
Yep.
And let's talk about the first thing. We decided to make it as best we could it's because it's for people like me, to make it a really cool and easy to use graphic, right? And so for us, this is what a complete series bundle with us looks like. So whether you're doing hermeneutics and how to understand, or you're doing something along the lines of what we believe, and you're doing systematic theology, whether you're doing it for 4 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it looks like, you will have all of these components in here. And what I think is important about it is that it builds this one thing that's the closest to the corner is the backbone of it all.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of want to explain that. And behind the wall, if you join our membership, man, it's $27 a month. It is so cheap to have access to the stuff. We've lined this up against all of the big guys. We've even posted about it, and we got some angry calls. But our stuff
from the big guys,
we gotta call it the big guys. It outmatches them, and it's cheaper than anything that they do. I saw a post the other day that listed everything we do, and it said for $500 a year, no one can beat that. And I almost posted and said we can, and we do. It's $270 a year. Here's how we start the whole process, and it builds off of this. One, we say, what is it, whether we're writing something for a student pastor or writing it ourselves for our student ministries, for our people, we say, man, it's all about small groups and good curriculum for small groups. So what do? We build a leader guide. And we build this leader guide with a series, and we're going to go into depth on it in a minute, but it's just called Linear Session Prep. And so when you create Linear Session Prep, that means that you will study for it and teach it in the same order, so that you're not trying to piece everything together and going through 10 or 15 pages of content. So that the first page tells you the key takeaway, the passage, and the bottom line that you're going to be looking at. Like, what is the main point of this whole session? Then you
because you prepare in the same way that you teach it, you're learning it in the order that you're going to teach it. So it just makes sense in your mind, and you're not having to look back real far on like, where was this in the lesson? Based off where the question is, where to go.
And our questions, we're getting into it, but you're right, 100%. And so when you look at that leader guide, our thing is that leader guide is the nervous system for everything else that follows. Because almost everybody out there, if you're doing good ministry, I don't know of any ministry that doesn't do small groups of some type, whether it's Sunday school, whether it's Wednesday nights, whether it's home groups.
I don't know of any growing ministry that doesn't do small groups of some time.
That's fair. I just can't even bring to mind anybody that doesn't, but I can bring to mind several people that don't preach, but do it and things like that. And so like small groups, we just know biblically that's what we're designed to do, to discuss and to chew on God's word and to do that together. And so in these leader guides, we break down leader notes, a session breakdown. We do top shelf commentary. We put the scripture reference in. We used to put the verses in, and then we realized that everybody has their own translation they want to do. And we would hope that being the hallmark of being a leader is that you can have a Bible with you. Mm-hmm. So we give you that lesson, and then you have prepped, and almost every one of unless it's an off lesson, almost all of them are a total of 4 pages a session. And here's why that's important. If you go 5, 7, 6, 10, pages, you're going to lose a lot of leaders, because that's not only, I think, is that fluff, but at the same time, that's a lot to read and to remember and to get straight for each section you want to break down. For us, we think if you go less than 4, that's not enough. So I think there's a low tolerance there for what you got to do. So there's 3 pages of just prepping, a couple thousand words of prep and commentary. And then you break into the actual discussion page. And by that point, we have broken it down in there to say, listen, here's your icebreaker question. Here are illustrations for you. We're working on adding a neurodivergent option in there so that if you have a student with ADHD or autism or anywhere on that spectrum, that they are able to have some helps to get them there. And then we ask 5 questions. And those 5 questions get you from the icebreaker to the key takeaway. And you leave them with a key takeaway and a quote that shows them the breadth of the Christian faith. And so that's kind of where we all start, right, John?
Yeah.
That's where everything begins. That's the
that's where we start. And one of the things too, I mean, so like you said, between us, there's like 40 years shared experience here, which we don't often think about, but we
maybe like 5. Sometimes you feel like you only been doing it for 5.
Yeah. We don't think about it in terms of that all the time, but
yeah,
one of the things as you grow your leadership base larger, I can remember when I first started ministry, I had like 10 leaders, which is a lot. And now in the ministry that I'm in, I've got 60 adult leaders on a weekly basis. And thinking about trying to do their leader development and you're trying to fit leader development in every single place that you can. Like if you're really trying to develop your people, there's not enough leader development. And the problem with that is everybody's schedule is really busy. And so you're trying to get on their schedule. You're trying to get on their schedule for meetings. You're trying to get on their schedule for prepping. What if you could put your leader prep in your material? Well, that was kind of part of our idea was, let's utilize the time that we have our people investing in preparation. We're investing in them by putting good curriculum in their hands, written by us with them in mind. But also, hey, here's how we would lay out that you would teach this. Make sure that you're emphasizing this. For us, yeah. Make sure you're emphasizing this. Slow down here. Make sure that you're, asking questions or whatever the case may be. Week by week, we're trying to teach people how to be good small group leaders as they're prepping to lead small groups. And that's been one of the things that I think I've heard from so many people is it's almost revolutionary in simplicity. Like we are just making more of the time that they're investing because they're learning how to teach as they're prepping. And it really it's not that hard to do. It's just slowing down to make sure that you're being intentional about doing it.
Yeah. Well, it does. And it takes an eye. And part of what we're helpful is we want to share everything we know with everybody that we can and what we learn. But some of it, there's an intentionality to doing that comes from years of writing it and watching it. And so like, I remember when I look back, it's crazy to me. Like I'm comfortable with it because I was a part of it. But when I look at it for what we do now, I'm not, where whether you're buying it from somebody or you're writing it yourself. We used to write master teacher stuff and it was just like 15 questions and read here and 2 leader notes. And you just give this to people and they'd be like, don't worry, we give our people something a week ahead. And I look back on that and go, I think that was good that they were giving it to them like that and letting them work through it. But there was just no study help on any of it. Mm-hmm. And so you didn't know, you had to really, you need to really make sure your leaders are good, but you had to I feel like there's a little bit of professional negligence. There is a little professional negligence on that idea where you're the pastor who should be shepherding leaders to shepherd students instead. And cause I've had this issue before where people will take it and they won't do any of the prep. and it puts their groups that they lead in a bad position. Our hope was that, it's a reality now that people that use this go, oh yeah, this is great. Even people that may not even like some of what we do, because there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like it. I hear people go, well, this doesn't feel like it's for me, but it is really good and it's relevant and it's deep. And so that is kind of the beauty of this. So you're looking at 30 minutes a week to an hour of preparing, even if it's on the day of, which we know we don't want to do that, but even if it's on the day of, you have that. The second thing, when you look on this, and maybe it should say teaching down here instead of weekly. This is something we threw together real fast for this that we wanted to help explain it. But it should say probably teaching and follow-up up here and connection. But like we have the leader, then we have sermon manuscripts. And I know what you're going to say. It's going to be, I write my own sermons.
Yep.
Dare you.
Congratulations.
Well,
we want you to.
We want you to. And when we created this and we had some other people speaking into it, it was a very split room, okay? It was like the Democrats and Republicans of ministry, and they're like, they were going to filibuster. But here's our heart on it. I don't think that you should download these every week and just preach them as they are, though you could. They're heavy outlines, essentially. Really heavy, beefy outlines. So they're not quite manuscripts, but they're not quite outlines either. Here's our hope. Do you not preach on Wednesdays or Sundays and your leaders need a little extra oomph as they're going through it? Use it there. What you should have, you should not be the only voice your students hear. And so are you training up students to preach? Give them that and say, I want you to look at this. You don't have to preach it verbatim, but I want you to work off of this. This is what a scripture looks like. This is what a good sermon looks like. Or you may have leaders and say, this is where you want to go. And for us, we don't think there's value in you regurgitating what your students are about to discuss and talk about, because then they don't really work through anything on their own. They just repeat what you say. So all of our sermons, manuscripts are complementary, and they are not, you can't exchange them and switch them both ways. So they're complementary to what they're doing. And then we offer a slide deck, and we have your blank templates. We have the slides. This has been a monumental task to make sure everything had this. And we're still working on a couple series, but you've got everything you need and all the points for those on there. So if you need it really quick, and listen, we all know there are moments, especially in student ministry, where you had a funeral on a Tuesday for some reason, and you didn't have time to prep, or Wednesday, you had a kid that had a huge problem, and there is nothing ungodly I asked this question. Some people go, well, that seems like it takes the spirit out of teaching. Well, nobody asked that question when you copied 3 commentaries for your points and didn't write your own points and do any more study. So I think this is using good tools by people who love Jesus. Yeah. And so at this point we've saved, and you're handing your leaders, and if you do cohorts, we actually create these sermon packages for you. This is part of that practitioner side. But now look at all the with you, but we will write a lot of the content for you so that you can edit it. And then it's a with you process. So we write it, you look at it and go, I want to knock this, and you can go through it. And then we create the other stuff that maybe is not your bend. Maybe the graphics are not your bend, right? Maybe the other stuff. So we think we're better together on that, but it's your series, your way, your idea. And so, and
as you look online, what you see is guys that are buying into what we're doing and doing it with us. We've got Mark Santana out of Statesboro that through his leadership and through cohort, he just jumped in and co-wrote a study with his intern on Jonah.
Yeah.
And he's done Peculiar.
Raising people up, man.
Yeah, he's done Peculiar People, which is one of the most popular studies right now on our site.
Character studies.
It's a cool looking study. He did the I Am study, the I Am statements of Jesus. He did another one that I can't remember.
Well, those look so good, and they look appealing, which is our last thought, but it's an important thought. So we want it to be excellent. But Mark will tell you, he's not a graphics guy. But when he talked about that one, he said, I can't really create this on my own, but man, I'm thinking about stained glass and this kind of archaic feel, and I want it to feel old. And we took that one, we could do that. And we broke it down, and when we sent it and we were talking with him, he goes, oh, that's it. Yeah. And when we write it and we pull it in. And so it's really cool.
And he spends a lot of time. He spends a lot of time on the editing process. And sometimes, Mark, you're a little too nitpicky, but we appreciate it about you. But he'll do that. Then you've got
we created the one draft rule for Mark.
Yeah. Then you've got, then you got the guys up at Christian Endeavor up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
who we just did a second series alongside them that'll be coming out soon. That looks really cool. And that's in 56 countries being translated in other languages. And so that's really neat. You got Dennis Wagner over at First Baptist Church in Yantis, Texas. Where's Yantis, Texas? I don't know. Google Maps might not even know.
Somebody's there.
But it's a place. Dennis lives
Fearless
there.
People has been incredible.
Yeah. Joshua Villers has done several series. Micah Arrington has done a few. Joe Marin, we're waiting on you in Alaska to like do one on the moose in your front yard and put pictures in. Joe always sends these really crazy cool pictures. Like he did, he sent us last night. He sent in the cohort a picture of the Aurora Borealis in his front yard. Did you see those?
Yeah. I thought it was really cool.
I wanted the scientific name because I didn't know when else I was going to get to say Borealis.
Well, if you talk about it too much, you become a Borealis.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway,
all that to say, here's the coolest thing. Number one, like I said, it's written by practitioners all over the country. It's being shaped by practitioners all over the country. It's being proven in youth ministries all over the world in all these different countries. That's incredible. And so that's number one. Number two, if you have a question, you can pick up the phone and you can get in touch with Mark. You can get in touch with Dennis. You can get in touch with any of these guys and ask them or us and ask us about the series as we're working through it. Hey, what were you thinking when you said this? Now, it may take us a minute to recall because we're writing so much stuff, but but you have access to the guys who are the actual ones who are writing it. And here is what I think sets us apart from everybody else. What I think sets us apart from everybody else is user interface. What we hear from people and what I've heard from leaders in all of my years, and this is what Ian and I talked about a lot, is that people will say, hey, I really enjoyed this curriculum. Do you remember that one we did like a year ago? Man, it was so much easier to use when it came to this, or the application was so much better here, or man, there's just a real learning curve. You always hear about the learning curve of getting familiar. And you can remember if now that we're all on iPhones, you get a new iPhone, there's not a learning curve. You just get the newest version of the iPhone, but the operating system. I can remember when I went from my flip phone to my BlackBerry for the first time, or my BlackBerry to the iPhone finally. And you go from one operating system to another, and there's like a 2 to 3 week of using it every day, fumbling it, figuring out. And I always felt like you were losing the first 1, 2, 3 weeks of your series of effectiveness because your people were having to learn how to read and study so that they could use it. And so it was almost like, man, how do we eliminate that learning curve so that the first week of a new series, right out of the gate, our people are ready to roll? So that's what we did. We took that out. So there's no learning curve. Once you learn how to use our stuff, which is not hard to learn, once you learn how to use it, you know how to use it because aesthetically it's going to look different, but the user interface is always the same.
Well, that's kind of the idea. Yeah, that's 100% the idea is that it's not even the fact that there aren't different, never mind. I say all that to just say I agree with you completely. I think that the win in this is that everything looks wildly different in a cool way for every single series we do, but your leaders can always count on walking through curriculum in the same way and the same questions. And so you get to keep, and I think that a lot of times we sacrifice quality for the look. And we just don't think you have to do that. You shouldn't have to do that. It's like, oh, this looks so great. And you open it up and you go, like that happened a lot with one big company. And I preach D-Nows and do a lot of that. And people would pay $500 for the graphics package for a D-Now. And they go, yeah, all the content's terrible, but this looks cool. And it wasn't even that good.
Yeah. And you're basically, we've done that. We brought you in. We brought you in to speak at one. What was it called? The Exchange or something like that. Make it matter. And so we did Make It Matter, and the guy was like, yeah, we really like the t-shirt, we really like the package, but I'm like, why couldn't we just pay like $100 for somebody just to design something? Anyway, I digress. But I think that, you go ahead.
Well, no, so here's the win. You build so why this is important. You've just saved hours of time by you could send it to them once a week, but you could send them a 6-week, 8-week series 8 weeks ahead. Send it to everybody. Let them have it in a PDF.
Do you know what that does?
Oh, makes you
communicates that you have a plan.
Yep.
Because you do.
People are sorry, I didn't mean to cough. People are more attuned and ready to follow you, even if they don't even always like the direction you're going. If they know that you are headed somewhere and you're prepared, that gets them more on board to do what you're doing. And that gives you longer, instead of having to think, well, this is week to week, he can change this. That gets some people more in line to go, oh, this is 8 weeks. And you say, hey, now this is 7 weeks. And now this is a 4-week series. But you are handing it to them ahead of time. So one, you have saved hours every week trying to text and communicate out the lesson over and over and keep checking on it.
Well, and essentially, you're taking their blindfold off. Like so many of us in leadership, we put people in the church fan, we blindfold them, and you say, just trust me, I know where we're going.
Right.
And so often it feels like you're stopping and starting and stopping and starting. And
well,
what we're trying to do is we're trying to take the get in the car, take the blindfold off. Here's the road. This is where we're headed.
Well, the cool thing is you can, like a lot of our guys do, you have enough curriculum here to be able to say, I know where we're headed for the whole semester. And so you can show your people even a calendar that says, this is what we're going through for the next 16 weeks. And then they go, oh, this is great. And you say, I've heard people go, well, the Spirit really needs to direct it. Well, I get it if you want to show, but even a couple of weeks before you start a new series, you need to be more planned out with that, because at one point saying the Spirit's doing it is lazy. And
you're also an idiot if you don't think that God can't work in order. Because Genesis 1 will correct you real fast.
And it's like, why couldn't God work through our planning process now rather than 4 weeks from now?
Yeah.
And so, and all that to say, though, you've got that done. You got your sermon.
Was the word idiot too strong? It felt maybe it was a little strong.
I feel like it's just who we are. So all that to say,
I do think people are idiots.
We're going to run out of time, though, if we don't keep going. So we've got the leader guide that gives you all that information for your leaders, sermon manuscripts, in case you need them or to help you go a different direction, even help your creativity. It may just be something to reference. And then your slides and prep so that everything's added together. I don't know how many times years ago I did student ministry and my slides looked different than everything else. And it was it just wasn't coherent. But here's the win. Here's the other win. You go to the title, like up here to where it says series-wide content. Here's where this is a win for us. When you preach it, if this idea of vision leaks is a really important thing, that the more that you speak about something, by the time you're exhausted by it, is probably the time you get it. And so, or the time people are getting it from you. And so using 8 or 10 different avenues and points of contact throughout the week to connect this to your people and your students and your families, everybody involved, is a big deal, because it will speak volumes, not just like handing them something 8 weeks out will. Being able to have consistent touch points speaks volumes to you connecting people to the body of Christ and students. So take a look at this. You have your 16:9 title graphic and template. So now you've always got a title graphic to post online. You have, I know we have that in there twice. This is an early draft. You have your social media graphics and template. So now you don't have to think up, oh, what am I going to do? But you actually have graphics and a template and posts that we write for you so that you have something to edit and change. We're all about dropping clay onto the potter's wheel for you, so you've got something to work with rather than having to come up with it all. So now you're going to preach it, and you've got to cut 2 or 3 posts throughout the week that you can post and remind people of them. You can post them on Facebook so all your parents see it, Instagram so students see it, text it out to them. You have parent tools. So I had a guy tell me the other day, so we use this, and it's been incredible because we put all of our church announcements on the back of that sheet, and then we send the Bring It Home sheet, which is 1 page, home to parents. It has all of the main stuff that the leaders talked about on 1 page, and then the discussion questions and your takeaway and your quote. And it's all branded the same way. So you send them home with that. And then lastly, you have student text plans. And this is what I think is so cool about this. You also have text prompts for Monday and for Wednesday and throughout the week, 3 texts that are follow-up or preparation that aren't just, hey, come to church, it's really cool. Like you will highlight what's going to happen this week. What do you think about this? Hey, we'd love to see you. Hey, how did that hit you? And you're creating catalysts for that. So when you get parent weekly emails for it too, you can copy and paste a parent email that walks through what you did. You can edit it however you want to. Add your Bring It Home sheets, what I do every week. And I'm telling you, man, when I started using weekly sheets like that, I would see parents pull up. I set the email to go off in the middle of church so that parents get it. And I would send out texts and emails. And when I had parents pull up, they would have that sheet in their car. And while dad was driving, mom would ask questions from the sheet. And she'd go, so what did you learn tonight? And that doesn't happen every time. The other side of it is you say, well, that doesn't work in my environment. My question is, have you done it consistently for at least 6 months?
Well, and why won't it?
Yeah, I don't think that it will, but a lot of times, people, you and I have talked about this, John. People will forgive mistakes; they don't forgive inconsistency. So,
Yeah.
and that doesn't mean that people just won't suffer inconsistency. So, if
Yeah.
you have been like, hey, here's a pair, I've sent a parent emails. I've sent like 4 this year.
Yeah. Well, I tell my people, you're going to get it between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock on a Wednesday. If I could schedule it, you'd get it at 12 every week. But I can't. So I have to go in and I have to manually do it. But it's on my calendar. I know to do it between 11 and 1 o'clock. I get that thing written. I get it sent. And I cannot tell you the difference that it has made. And here's the other cool thing. You can tell students to hold their parents accountable.
That's right.
Because we're giving parents tools. And I did this last Wednesday. And I had one of my parents, who's a leader and a parent, locked eyes with their student across the room when it happened, because I told the kids, I said, look, your parents should be getting these emails from me. I send out emails to 200, almost 300 parents every week. If your parents are not asking you these questions in the car, you need to ask them. You need to ask them, you need to ask them, hey, are you not getting Pastor John's emails? If you're not, I need to make sure that I get you on there. 2, ask them, hey, are you getting Pastor John's emails? If they are, you need to tell them to quit being lazy and read the Bible with you.
That's right.
And I said it just like that. And I said, now maybe you don't tell them that you think they're being lazy, but you tell them that Pastor John says, quit being lazy and read the Bible with them.
Yeah.
And the mom and the son, they locked eyes with each other across the room. And he said, so it is, it just, accountability is not a bad thing. Accountability is not a bad thing. But hey, we probably need to be rolling to the back half of the wall here.
Oh, that's true. Well, then let's end with this. I'll tell you, if you're looking at this, just remember the key objectives of what we do is that it's biblical or it's gospel driven. It's easy to use. It's built for real life. It's denomination friendly. We work across the spectrum, and it's affordable, man. We do everything we do. $27 a month. It gives you community, great curriculum, tools, and games. And so if you want to see the rest half where we break down what an actual session looks like and how you can use it, then go behind the wall. If you're already a member, that's where we're going to go to help you get the most out of a session. I can't wait to see you guys soon. Please jump on, become a partner. Don't become a customer, become a partner of what we're doing so that we can do this stuff together. You will see your ministry absolutely go to depths you didn't know you could go to if you will be a part of a community that wants to see that happen. So love you guys. We're really excited.